a lot of computer savvy people or people who have accounting experience in Halsey. They can maybe itemize the expenses of our water, because I would like to ask the council to surprise me, which one of you knows how much it costs to produce a gallon of water in Halsey? We don't know. I doubt there's a city that does. So what I would like to suggest is we put together some kind of committee and analyze that, consider the mechanical parts, the hours we spend on, the chemicals, the electricity, those kinds of things, and then we find out what it's actually costing us, instead of just taking a kind of a shot in the dark and say, well, this is what everybody's charging, so seems reasonable. What doesn't seem reasonable to me is having to raise the rates every year because everybody else is. Some of you are in business, you don't charge something if you don't have any clue what it costs you to make it. I think it's unreasonable what government do likewise. So if you could do that, I think we might surprise ourselves. Maybe we're actually giving people a bargain. We need to raise it more. I doubt it, because we don't know. I would like to see some accounting, and I think the city council could take that upon themselves to put together that kind of committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Jerry. And I see the sheriff's department representatives arrived.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
No more slacking, come on.
What's that?
No more slacking, come on, give us your
I was gonna
report.
say, if we do show and tell and you guys keep putting me in the paper, we can't do show and tell anymore.
Uh-oh.
With us.
Did
you get in trouble?
Was it Michelle's picture? No.
Oh, okay.
I just saw
It wasn't me.
Man, it looks great to me, the report did. One thing I wanted to point out, which was kind of cool for it being in the middle of summer, 24 out of the 39 calls were self-initiated by deputies. So not stuff we're asking or being asked to respond to. Those are stuff deputies are seeing, and they're creating calls and addressing extra patrols. Because of kind of the lack of calls, there's a lot more traffic. So they did 18 traffic stops in Halsey for July, which is a little more than average, I would say. Property crime wise, Royal had some batteries stolen out of some trailers that were parked. Some of the ones that have power tilt on them, somebody came in and took some batteries out. We have one crash, unfortunately, that sent somebody to the hospital. Precautionary measures. Another thing I want to talk about was some of the resources that we can offer folks. On September 24th, we had a female that was having a mental health issue and threatening suicide, and then what we call suicide by cop, basically brandishing a weapon so we would cause harm to her. We call that suicide by cop because they're trying to agitate us, so we react to that. That took us about all day to deal with. We brought out crisis negotiators to try to speak with her. She did have guns. And so we kind of set up an incident command center not too far from here and had deputies nearby setting up perimeter, but also crisis negotiators from our SWAT team talking with her, trying to get her to drop some stuff and then help her. And we're successful in doing that. So she came out of her house, dropped weapons, and we were able to transport her to the hospital and stay with her at the hospital for a little bit until mental health could get there and be with her, and then make some arrangements for firearms with family and whatnot until she got home. So you might have saw that call in there or heard about it through the neighborhood or seen a big presence, but there's a little more behind that story. And they were out there for hours and hours and hours trying to talk with her to allow us to help and kind of get close and see what we can do to help her. So we're successful in doing that. Now it's kind of up to her to want help for herself. Any questions about that or anything else in July?
Did notice a high-speed chase through town involved several police officers.
Yeah, that ended in Junction City. and we're able to get him. Somebody we kind of had our eye on for a long time, had multiple warrants. It was wanted for a lot of different property crimes all throughout the area in Lane County also. And just kind of given road conditions and evaluating things throughout, kind of risk versus reward, right? We kept going, and with the help of Junction City, we were able to catch him down there. Yeah,
Great.
yeah. A lot of fires lately.
Yeah.
I got my fireman boots on, super dirty. We have one we're working right now outside Sweet Home now, where we're kicking people off the lakes because there's so many aircraft on it fighting that fire. Green Peter and Foster have been evacuated. So, but still we get people that don't listen or do silly stuff. With the Harrisburg fire, we're dealing the aftermath. When we evacuate people, we have people going in, trying to break into vacant homes. We dealt with that twice. Made an arrest on one of those attempts. So yeah, they make our job difficult.
Yeah.
Last week it's been extremely busy.
I appreciate your work.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be more questions.
Nope.
That's it. Not a lot going on.
No.
I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
What does sex offense entail?
It could be anything, anything regarding sex. It could be, yeah, it could be.
Okay.
We leave those pretty vague, just because they can get very vulgar and there's a lot of personal information involved with that. What page are you looking at?
It's page 23. It has the first one.
Page 1 of your report.
Oh, yeah, page 1 of, yeah, one of your report. Starts with child pornography link and then has a second one with sex offense. And I was kind of just curious if they're related or if they're two separate.
So the sex offense one, I'm gonna say was mistitled,
Okay.
because that's a trespass. The second call on page 1 is basically exactly what it
What it
is.
says, okay.
A lot of times you would see a call such as that created where there's no narrative at all. That's usually because it even goes above my head and I don't even know what's going on because detectives get like an online tip or they're working. We do have detectives, if you guys don't know, that work online child sex crimes and trafficking and stuff like that. So we do have detectives that pretend to be somebody else trying to get people to meet up with them. And they have to create calls for documentation and document what they're doing, but that won't necessarily show up in an agenda that's given to city council with certain details. And a lot of times that's why it has the block number on it. It's not a specific address. Is that clear as mud? I don't even know if that answered your question.
No, it does.
In the state of Oregon, it could be like 30 different crimes,
Okay.
most of which are going to be related to measure limit.
Yeah, no, for just full transparency, I live on Fifth and was curious if the two were
The
related.
trespass one, I think, is just mislabeled.
Okay.
Thank you much.
All right. You're welcome.
Ask a question.
Be safe.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times I've had to kind of stop my own hand because I thought about maybe waving at the officers. But I didn't want to think I was flipping along, so I just kept it myself. Are you okay if we just say hi once in a while?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I get flipped off plenty of times, but we also get waved at a lot too.
Just use all your
Make
fingers.
sure I show all 5 fingers. Yeah, that's all I wanted.
Yeah, but if you want to talk to somebody, feel free to give a motion to wave them down if you want to chat about something. Yeah, they might take a little longer because if somebody waves us down, we might go one more block around and that way we can get out of radio traffic and let dispatch know we're going to be talking with somebody. So if you don't see us flip around immediately, don't get too concerned, but there's also a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on where he might wave a deputy down, but he really can't talk to you because he has to go somewhere. So don't necessarily take it as that they're ignoring you. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. That's how a lot of stuff like in Halsey, Brownsville, that's how we get to know a lot of people.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Yep. Next item on the agenda is reports to council. Start with employee reports. City administrator.
So the League of Oregon Cities Conference, Michelle and I went to last year. And it was really inspiring for me. There's usually a lot of information there. It's great because it's a mix of elected officials and administrators and people from all over the state. And there's sessions that a lot of times have valuable information bring back to Halsey. They alternate doing it on the east side of the state and the west side of the state. And this year it's going to be in Eugene, which is a much less expensive way for people to attend that because we don't have to pay for housing and the mileage is a lot lower and you sleep in your own bed. And so I just wanted to invite members of council who are interested in this to let me know and I'll help you get registered. One thing is that it is expensive. So please, if you do it, be serious about it and reserve those dates on your calendar. And if for some reason you have to cancel, try to do it early enough that we can still get the money back. So, but I love it if you have the time to take advantage of this opportunity because it's actually really knowledge rich and you get to make connections with a lot of other communities.
Just put a little plug in. I've been twice now and it's very informative and engaging. I've got a lot of good information out of it.
If you want to do this, just let me know later and I'll help you get signed up. Council goal setting session in the last meeting, council chose October 14th. I've confirmed that date with the planner. He's available for that day. So I just wanted to remind folks to block out their calendars, especially since some of you weren't here for the last meeting. So just to make sure that that date works for those of you who weren't here then. Okay. Our rare member is Veronica Dominguez. She will probably start the third week of September, but I don't yet have a confirmed date. She's a recent graduate of the University of Oregon with a BS in environmental science. I need to make you aware that I have to make Titus aware that I will not be here. This is from the student's perspective, a professional development opportunity, and they vet their mentors pretty carefully, and I'm the mentor that got vetted. And so I need to talk with him and find out if that can be transferred to someone else in the office, or if she needs to have another position since we don't know who will be her mentor next year. So I'll keep you posted on how that develops. There are trainings available, new trainings available from the League of Oregon Cities. If you haven't been to elected essentials training, they're doing it right now. It's a full day thing. They'll do it probably again toward the end of the year. But I have those as individual webinars that I'm happy to email on either for somebody who wants a refresher or for somebody who hasn't had it yet. I will send them to Councilor Flores. And they're just really good basic information. Councilor Ison knows that my subtitle for these is how to not get sued. So you know, it's really good stuff to know. And then they've started a new municipal fundamentals training that kind of goes beyond that. And it involves, you know, home rule, social media, how to not get in trouble on social media. That's a good thing to know. Public contracting basics, handling difficult meetings. So it's kind of the next set of skills for counselors. Right now it's only available in person. And they don't have all of them scheduled yet, but the closest to us looks like Salem. But again, if that's something you're interested in, let me know and I'll help you get signed up for it. G Street and Centennial Court was chip sealed by the county. Sierra Santa Fe will come through this Friday or Saturday and do the final coat, the onyx coat over it. East Street paving project starts on Monday. We're doing a lot of streets this year.
Yeah.
The SLEDS grant was awarded for $4,500 for a new climbing structure in the park, and Councilor Flores helped write that grant along with Julia Fox.
Thank you.
Advocacy training. This is for the SMAC, Small Municipality Advocacy Coalition. I just like that.
Say that 10
I can't,
times.
but I like the acronym.
Okay.
So these are those training sessions we're talking about that will help you become savvy on how to collectively set an agenda, you know, what the priorities are, and then also how to lobby and how to make those connections, how to testify, all the stuff that sounds scary until you know how to do it, and then it's not. And so I'm hoping that most of you have the opportunity to attend one of these sessions, and they're asking for RSVPs, but they really just need to know if there's going to be 20 people or 5. So if there's a particular session you want to go to, two of them are here at our community center. Three things not on here. I got an email from DEQ confirming that the planning loan for the wastewater facilities master plan will be 100% loan forgiveness. So free wastewater facilities plan. The governor did sign 5506, so that means we have $300,000 for our well.
Good.
So if it doesn't run over budget, we've got the 200,000 ARPA, the 300,000 from the state, and we will building a free well for the citizens of Halsey with no bond, no debt, and no rate increase. So that's a victory. And finally, the auditor was here last week and said he had a clean audit. You know, he's still working on the final reports for that, but he did let me know that there were no areas of concern and no recommendations for things to change.
Sweet. Okay. Nice job.
Thank you. So next is Public Works with Andy.
Hello, are we reaching?
You are.
Yes, great. So for the month of July, we had a water leak that we've been chasing in front of Diamond Cave property. And, you know, this is something that I've never dealt with before. So we've had a leak detection company come out and pinpoint what they could hear where the leak was at. And each time that they would pinpoint where the leak was at, we would dig up, and with no luck, wasn't able to find the leak. And we started potholing every 20 feet because that's where a joint would be in the pipe. This is a C900, and there was only one service, and the one service was going to Diamond Cave property. And I've never dealt with anything like this where a joint would be leaking and why it would be leaking. But the only theory that we can come up with, because the setting changed from, you could see that it was weeping into the property, weeping into a neighbor that was there. And the only theory that we can come up with is that shutting on and off the valve relaxed a rubber in one of the fittings and fixed itself. And until it shows itself again, right now, we don't have a problem there. I've never dealt with that before, so it's really, it's really kind of, well, I would call it water demons. The treatment plant, we had another problem there. Everything was going wonky on there. And after 2 days, we was able to figure out what to do. And we rebuilt the bypass clay valve and a pressure regulator. And everything started to work the same as it should be. The backwash filter on the timer on the backwash filter stopped working. So we have a new controller and ordered, and it's on its way. At the sewer, we had the backup generator. It's got a new radiator installed. Some of the things that we've been doing in the streets, so we've been mowing and spraying as always. We did a little shoulder graveling in areas that we had Blackstone come in and patch those areas up, and we graveled the shoulders. And we had a water leak at Blue Heron, sorry. And we had an issue with the drainage pump there. It filled up, and we troubleshooted the problem and replaced the alarm solenoid, and that fixed the problem. Seems like we're always trying to figure out things in the city sometimes when it's like, this is all new to me. Problems are happening, but we're able to solve them.
Thanks for that.
Any questions?
No, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, take care.
And next is library with Abby.
Okay, so July was a pretty exciting month. We had the last 3 events of our summer reading program. And overall, that went pretty well. We did have the weird experience of having the presenter for the last day of the program drop out kind of last minute. So thanks to Stacy, it all worked out and we threw together some crafts and activities, but yeah, overall, I would say it was successful. It was a little bit of a smaller turnout than I expected compared to how many kids registered, but I think everyone who came had a lot of fun. So yeah, I thought that went pretty well. Let's see, we added 8 items to the inventory, which brings our total value of inventory to $83,759.66. We had a daily threshold count of about 6.45 patrons every day and a total of 129 patrons. That does count people who came for summer reading program, but I only really counted the kids. I didn't count everybody. And other than that, it's been a little quiet with all the construction over right by us. I think that's hurting foot traffic a little bit, but otherwise, everything's good. Our new bookshelf should be finished sometime this month. Not exactly sure when. I haven't really heard any updates yet, but that should be soon. And now I'm mostly focusing on the Ready to Read grant for next year's summer reading program, and then starting to put together smaller events for the library. We had quite a bit of snacks and prizes left over from summer reading that we can use for smaller events. Any questions about anything?
Glad summer reading went well.
The one unexpected thing.
Yeah.
Everything else went according to plan.
Did a great job. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Thank you much. So next we'll move on to council reports with sharing hands and Ken.
As usual, like I've been telling you every month, the numbers are going up. We are now up to COVID levels for people for assistance. And now it's a lot more calls. It's like, can you help me with gas money and clothes and things like that too? It's not just food. 2 weeks ago, we have had so much demand. 2 weeks ago, we actually ran out of everything in the freezers.
Holy cow.
We just got restocked today. And the refrigerators were almost completely empty.
Ouch.
So, but now we're in good shape for this week. But it's week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the cost of food going up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cost of everything going up.
Everything.
People are finding it difficult to make ends meet. And we don't turn anybody away. So far, we've been able to provide food to everybody that comes. Hopefully that will continue.
To say, when sharing hands, I lived in this community, lived in Halsey for 31, 32 years now. I have never been in sharing hands until the garage sales. I went in and I was really impressed with all the stuff they have in there. I
They've,
was shocked.
yeah, they've made the shop where it's profitable now and is paying for some of the food.
Good.
So we're not completely reliant on donations and grants. The shop is helping now.
Yeah.
When Deb took over, the shop was a losing proposition. It was costing more to operate than it was bringing in. And at that point, she just told me today, I think she said they were serving, I think it was 40 families at that point. And we serve consistently now over 200 families.
A week or a month?
Every week. You know, those families are coming back every other week.
Yeah, but
They'll
still.
come in every week, but still,
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's a lot of people needing help.
Sharing hands doing well with their garden, their community garden
The
plan.
garden's doing well. They have their own garden because the community garden moved this year.
Was it?
It's too late in the season to get a good garden going. So they've had their planters, which I think we actually helped with the donation for the
Right.
planters that they built. Yeah, they've been providing fresh vegetables all season.
Excellent.
Starting to wind down a little bit now.
Do you accept vegetables from public gardens or from?
They have been, in fact, today we just got some, what was it? It was something odd I'd never seen in this area before. But it was figs.
Oh,
Yeah, we got figs, which I'd never seen around here before. And we had some corn donated this week too.
I work on an orchard and I may be able to grab some fruit if y'all are able to accept.
I'd call Deb
Okay.
there first, just to
Yeah,
make
awesome.
sure that's okay and timing's okay. Because at the food bank itself, they're receiving deliveries on Tuesdays, they're handing out food Wednesdays and Fridays. Otherwise, there's nobody at the food bank. And they can't take any food down at the store because it's too difficult to deal with transport back and forth.
Thank you much. Next is Central Wind School District. Michelle.
I don't necessarily have a report because their meeting is this month, it's next week. But I will say that this last spring, they hired a new principal. Dean Reck is his name, and he's from up north, a little town up north somewhere, and I can't remember. Salem, Staten area, somewhere out there. He's been up there for a long time. Great guy. I met him when we had a meet and greet this last spring. Super excited. He's very ready to go and make some changes, so it'll be good. Also hired a new vice principal / AD, which is good too. Get somebody in there he's very gung ho also. So it'll be a fun year with a lot of new teachers, new administration and stuff. So
Very cool.
You know, when the playground's supposed to be installed, I keep having parents ask me that are worried that their kids are gonna start school without a playground. Since there's had no
That's
progress on it.
parent committee, so I don't know. I can find out.
Hillary.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people who've been asking.
I know that our public works guys just dug up the area that they needed dug up to be installed this week, and I know that they're trying really hard to get it installed before the school starts.
There you go.
Awesome. Anyone else? So we'll move on to Oregon Cascade West Council of Governments with Jeremy.
I have not attended a meeting in months. And so I have no update, but I'm trying to carve out some time to get re-engaged with them. I know they're having a barbecue here real soon, but
Perfect time to go then.
I know, I can't make that either, so.
Yes.
You know that I'm part of the Central Wind Lions Club. And I am still waiting to see some council person join us in the club. That was presented months ago. That the council is supposed to have somebody.
Voluntary if we want to. It's not that we have to.
And
It's not that we have to. It was not, we are all volunteers ourselves. It was suggested to us that if we could, but it's nothing that we were told we had to do.
it would be really.
It would be.
Nice
But there's only so many hours in a day, so.
I agree with that. The 2 weeks of last month, I was on call 24 hours a day. So,
Well, how about you and I take this up after council? Okay?
yes, I think it's, the council should have somebody representative
I agree, but again,
with the Lions Club.
So it's from this time of the day, but you and I will discuss this after, okay?
Okay.
There is no old business. We'll move on to new business as much as we kind of don't
Yeah,
want to.
please skip that.
So you have my letter of resignation in front of you.
Nope.
This is my last council meeting.
Hope so.
I have been so deeply honored to do this work. And it's been personally transformative for me. What I've learned and just, it's amazing for me. It's been amazing for me. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for those of you who took a shot and promoted me. And I'm grateful for the support I've received from council over the years, from my staff, from citizens, from committees, from volunteers. This community is profoundly inspiring. We wrote some grants and had volunteers and opened a library for less than $40,000. That was then staffed by volunteers for 2 years until we could afford a librarian for 20 hours a week. It's, this community inspires me every day. And I'm leaving a big piece of my heart here with you. And I'm not going very far. The previous city administrator has been available and answering questions for me for 10 years. And I've promised to do that for whoever's next sitting in this chair. I'm giving you 30 days and I have, in that time, I'll make sure the city administrator handbook, just walk through some how to do each task. It's updated. I would like to, and I recommend that you let me try to find an interim administrator for you. I'm concerned because we have 2 family leaves coming up and we have lots of big projects coming this coming year. It will take time to do a recruitment for a permanent replacement. I don't think you can do it in 30 days. And I also think that it's such an important thing. You should have time. If you don't find this right person, you shouldn't make a desperation hire. You should go out again. A lot of communities have done that. But there are resources for interim city administrators. I know one. The LOC has a listing of them. The OCCMA, which is the Oregon City County Managers Association, which I'm a member of, also have members that are emeritus, I'm saying it wrong, but who are retired, but will come back into service periodically for something like this.
Emeritus.
Emeritus, thank you. You can tell when I read and haven't heard something spoken. So that's a decision for council to make, but that would be my recommendation is that you let me seek an interim to help you make this transition as smooth as possible. So that's one question for you. And I'm out of order, but there was something else I wanted to say, which is that you have one of the best staffs I have ever worked with in my life right now. Each of these people I work with is truly exceptional. And I hope that you will value them and show appreciation to them and keep them, because in my experience, having employees who are disengaged or don't care costs a lot that you don't necessarily see, and having employees that are passionately engaged and smart and confident and can learn and can do things right day after day pays you back profoundly. So these are amazing people, and I've leaned on them, and you can lean on them too. They will take care of you, but please take care of them. I've accepted a position in Astoria as the Finance and Administrative Services Director. It's a little bit of a change for me, which is a little scary, but also exciting. I'm going to go learn a bunch of new things in a new place and build new relationships. And I don't know what else to tell you. So, questions for you. Do you want to hire an interim?
Well, is an interim able to make the same decisions and help out and everything pretty much just the same?
Yes, ideally an interim, a lot of times an interim will probably have more experience than the person you hired to replace me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's somebody who has 30 years of experience and is willing to take on part-time things, but doesn't want to go back into full-time service. So ideally you have somebody walk in who has a lot of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who comes in is going to have different strengths and weaknesses than me, and they will find things that I didn't do quite right or did differently, and they will bring those strengths in and serve Halsey with them. I think that, yes, and interim city administrators should be able to walk in, do research, make recommendations to council,
Mhm.
make decisions. Yes.
Okay.
You may or may not have somebody with financial background. The thing is, you have 3 very competent, well-trained people in the office who are busy cross-training each other for the financial pieces.
Uh-huh.
And, oh yeah, I have another question for you. So Amber's currently working 25 hours a week. If you're willing, I'll pop her up to 30 and I'll teach her how to do payroll and cash rec and some of the tasks that I do, just as a redundancy.
Mhm.
So that, again, you'll have somebody in who can do those things if.
I think that's fine. Is that, are you willing to do that? Yeah. Say, not just doing it just because, but.
It's a good idea.
We've been pouring knowledge into her for a month. Her head hasn't exploded yet. So
Wow, okay.
I'm pretty excited about that. So, yeah, I'm very sorry to be leaving you. I'm excited for my next thing, but I'm very excited. I'm sorry to be leaving you as well.
So one other question, is it a financial move? I mean, or is it because of finances?
In part, but not really.
Tried that. Tony just went through all this with the, so he's like, ask that one.
I'm 15 years from retirement.
Mhm.
And there were some things that happened this year that just made me examine my life and think about where I want to live now and where I want to retire. And I realized that my whole life I've wanted to live on the coast, and for one reason or another, I've told myself that's not possible. And in a conversation with Jason, we were talking about where we wanted to live and where we wanted to retire and what that would look like. It became clear that he had the same feelings. And so, I mean, yes, they're gonna pay me more, but cost of living is more up there. So that's not really, that's not a reason necessarily. It's more that I wanna watch the Columbia River flow into the Pacific, and I wanna take a walk on the beach after a bad day, and it's where I wanna be.
That's
And if we do it now, then we can maybe get our house mostly paid off before we retire, and it's just an
Yeah.
opportunity, and the right job opened up.
Yeah.
I didn't go apply for 20 jobs. This one job opened up and Jason said, I want to live in Astoria. And I said, I want to do that job. It was just the right thing.
Okay. Okay, no, that's fair. Just have to ask.
Yes.
Anybody else?
It's not because I gave notice.
Yeah, I'll do this if you're not here. I'm sorry, you're out the door, I'm out the door too.
Wait a minute.
No, it's not.
You have her back, I'll dig her a ditch.
There we go. Yeah, yeah.
Bring a truck full of
Watch the
sand.
drainage ditch floating.
I don't think that's quite the same. Well, like I said earlier, I am extremely surprised and saddened, but I'm also excited for you too. If this is something that's going to improve your life or it's for personal reasons, then. So. I don't want
I
to,
would reluctantly entertain a motion.
I don't want to.
Well, we could make a motion that she has to stay.
Leaving very big shoes, that's the. I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey accept the resignation of the city administrator effective September 7th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Unfortunately, motion carries. So the next question is, does council want to hire an interim city administrator? I would highly suggest we do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the best.
Last time we had Hillary here because we had hired, she had applied for administrator, but was hired basically second position here. She knew how to do the job. We were fortunate. We had her on staff.
Mhm.
We didn't have to hire anybody else to come in. She was able to step into the position. And with time, we chose to keep her on. She proved herself.
Yep.
This time, I love the staff we have, but I'm not sure any of them are ready to step into that position.
Right. especially going on family.
Or want to.
Yeah,
If the situation
that's
were
true.
different, I mean, if the situation were, all three of them ultimately have the skills to do that if they want to, but all three of them at this time want to be part-time, and
Right.
at least for your interim, I suggest you.
Well, I like what you said, so we don't make a desperate hire kind of thing.
Right. It gives us time to do a proper search.
Right.
Proper vetting.
Especially right now, because in the job market, there's a lot of people who are getting a few offers, and just because we offer someone a job doesn't mean they're going to accept it either. So it might be vetting more than once.
Right.
Is this somebody that you would choose, or will we get them meet? I mean, we're up against a time frame here too,
Yeah, there's
but
time, it's up to you. The person I know that I would probably talk to first is named Christy Worster. She was the city manager at Silverton, and then she worked briefly for the LOC, and she's been doing interim city manager work since then. She recently was interim in Sweet Home after Ray was gone, and right now she's doing an interim gig for another city, Donald, I lost the name, as we talked about last spring. And I think that contract wraps in September. One of the things about her is that she and I talked about, she was talking to me about what she does, because I was trying to get her to come cover leaves. And she said that she works for the same rate that the current city administrator who's left works for. So there are ways in which she would probably cost you less than another person. I can try to recruit them, and then you have to choose if you want them to come to the September meeting when I'm gone,
right.
or if you want to do a special meeting this month to hire somebody. If we could bring somebody in closer to when I leave, we'll have direct contact, but again, then you'd be trusting me to pick somebody.
Right.
You may not want to do that, and that's okay. So it's just a timing issue. If
Yeah.
sometimes you have the fourth Tuesday of the month reserved as a work session, I could try to find some people for you then, and then you could talk to them. Because I will leave written materials for this person, and I'll be available via phone and email.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be nice to try to meet somebody, but I also, like I said, know that we're up against a time frame. So,
If she knows somebody she trusts,
yeah,
that'd be an advantage for sure.
And I don't know for sure that Christie's available. It
Right.
depends on if that contract wraps.
Sure.
I think if you're willing to do the time for the work session, I think it would be valuable to have you meet people in the city that you want to work with.
Right.
And the only variable is who I can find.
right.
But
Yeah,
I do think that would be wise for you.
I feel like if there's ever a time to do a work session, it's probably for
I
this.
would.
right. Yeah,
Absolutely agree.
yeah.
You want me to schedule that and try to.
If you can, yeah. I
So
mean,
I would entertain a motion.
I move that the governing body of the city of Halsey authorize the current city administrator to seek an interim city administrator to manage the city and assist with recruitment for the new city administrator.
Second,
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Damn it. And there are no ordinances or resolutions, amazingly enough. With that, we'll adjourn.
How do we set a date for a work session?
Oh,
We have the fourth Tuesday of the month actually reserved for those,
Right.
because usually folks are available on Tuesday since you already meet on them. Is that an okay date, or do you need to choose a different date?
that'd be fine for me.
Yeah, I think that's okay with me.
Fourth Tuesday?
Yep.
All right.
oh, it's not me.
If nothing else, we will
You'll
adjourn at 7:45.
actually set it.
1, 2, 3, 4. So the 22nd.